I think it is time for us to officially start the Trends to Watch for 2026 event that has now become one of my very favorite of every single year. I first want to start by thanking Eagleview for their partnership in helping this whole extravaganza take place, and also thank every single one of you for being here. I already see comments coming in from people excited to be here, ready to go for the day. So we've got a lot in store as we get going. So keep going with the comments, keep going with all of your thoughts tied to the trends that we've got, questions that you have as we go along. Up in the corner right here, you'll see a QR code that you can scan that will allow you to sign up to get the Trends to Watch recap PDF sent to you. So hour and a half, long time for us all to be together. I'm already getting warm, just like getting started, seeing all of the comments come in. But what we're going to be doing is taking all of the trends, putting them together in one place in case you weren't able to be here to get every single one of those trends while they were happening live. And because I want everybody that's here to feel like they're a part of the event, we're going to be grabbing comments from the comment section to put into that. So you've got thoughts, you have feelings, emotions, questions, put them into the comments because we will be pulling some of that to put into the downloadable resource for everybody after the fact as well. So even if you can't physically be here, because I can only have 15 people with me on screen, we will also have that downloadable that you get to be a part of. So keep the comments coming. I see comments from LinkedIn user. I don't know who it is, but I love the let's bleep and go. We've got even more people that are here. Everybody saying hi, drop where you're coming from. Tell me what you're most excited about, who you're most excited for as we get going with our lineup. So I am going to get us started today with my own personal trend, and then I am going to bring on our 15 guest panel as we start going today. And these 5-minute interviews go fast, and I am so excited to have you all here with me. So to get started, my trend for the year is that 2026 is going to be the year that most people recognize we have to lead different in the digital world. So I'm going to coin 2026 as the year of digital leadership, which anybody who joined me and James here in Madison for our first Ignite conference is probably not super surprised to hear that that's my trend. But the reason that this is something that I think is so important for all of us to be watching is in a world full of AI, which I'm sure you guys are going to hear plenty about today. Spoiler alert, I know you will because I have the trends already at my disposal. But the other side of this is like in that world full of AI, we have to counterbalance things with humans and true leadership. And one thing that I've seen a lot in the last number of years, meeting with companies, looking out, especially seeing how companies are responding to artificial intelligence, there is a epidemic of following happening right now. A lot of people who are jumping because they've heard somebody say that we need to jump when it comes to adopting technology, or maybe focusing really heavily on KPIs and data as opposed to those human sides of leadership, and figuring out how to balance and blend technology and the human side of leadership. And so I think that we're going to see a lot of people kind of waking up to the fact that leadership has to continue to evolve alongside technology, and that we really have to take a different approach if we want to have successful businesses with happy employees and, more importantly, happy customers, because those happy employees make happy customers. There will be a lot more from myself and my counterpart at Roloff Consulting, James, coming out about this concept. So make sure to keep your eyes open and start thinking through how you can really clarify what it is that you are trying to do as a leader with your company, with your team, with technology implementations. Start thinking about how you can use social media, events like this, your own thoughts, posts, comments to start building authority on a larger scale and leading outside of your company. And most importantly, start figuring out what it means to be a true, authentic human leader in your concept of that, and how you can show up both online and with your team every single day in a way that allows them to connect with you as a human. Before we bring on our very first guest, who I'll give you a hint, has an alter ego, and we don't know if it's him or his alter ego showing up yet today. I have a feeling a couple of people might know who I'm talking about. I want to come to the comments and just say good morning to everybody. So I see one of our panelists, Meredith, is already in there chatting with everybody, getting everybody going. Good morning, Emily. Let's see, who else do we have here? We've got my counterpart, who I've already mentioned twice, sitting up in the living room, staying out of my business while we do this large event. We have Amanda from Florida. We've got international guests here chiming in from Canada. Let's see, who else do we have here? Good morning, Jenna. Or Jenny, I'm sorry. Reading is a core competency that I apparently need to improve on. That's why I got my glasses on, so I can see what's going on today. Just a reminder for anybody that might be joining. This QR code up in the corner is going to allow you to sign up to receive the Trends to Watch recap email. And that is going to include all 15 of the different guests' trends to watch. And most importantly, comments from all of you as we start to go through all of our trends. So you have thoughts, questions, feelings, emojis you want to put in there, throw them into the comments, and then we will be pulling some of those to include in our recap, because the 15 of us don't have all of the thoughts on trends to watch for the year. So we want your voice to be included as well. So without further ado, we are going to bring on our first guest of the day. And you guys tell me in the comments, which version is showing up, him or his alter ego? How are you?
Good morning, Emma.
I feel like you have started us off on quite the festive little kick here.
You know, I told my wife this morning that the Amazon fulfillment people are incredibly confused by my order history.
I mean, I went and got these. I don't know. Can you hear the bells?
Yes, indeed. Okay. Very festive.
Just going to be over here jingling the whole time. So I feel like, except for I got these beauties at Walgreens, not Amazon. So, you know, nice. You need to pick anything up, everybody, last minute. There's 2-day delivery, or you can go down the road and get your festive on. All right. So Curtis, can you give everybody an introduction, please?
Yes, I'm Curtis Goldsborough. For those who don't know, I'm the president of National Insurance Inspection Services. We're a nationwide underwriting inspection firm focused on personal lines, residential inspections, both field inspections, boots on the ground, as well as self-inspections.
Great. Well, I do see a lot more people coming in, and the votes seem to be in that you have not shown up as yourself, that you have, in fact, shown up as loss ratio. And Alex wants to say, oh, not ho, ho, ho. He's feeling like you are reflected. I guess I didn't realize that until his comment came through. There's some other people that are recognizing.
Is this better, Alex?
Don't choke yourself out. We still need to get your trend. Okay, so Curtis, what is your trend that you think everybody should be watching this year?
Yeah, the trend is inspections, Emma. 2026 is going to be the year of property inspections for underwriting. We're seeing this and hearing it from so many of our carrier partner clients that are really focused on inspections for 2026. And so that's something that that really everyone needs to be prepared for. And just a little bit of context that I wanted to talk about to kind of set the stage for why this is happening, right? Why are so many carriers going to be heavily focused on underwriting inspections for 2026? And it really has a lot to do with what we've seen in the homeowners insurance marketplace over the last, say, 5, 6, 7 years, right? We've kind of come through, knock on wood, fingers crossed, sort of coming out from a very hard market cycle, right? We're starting to see rates moderate across the country in the homeowners line of business. But we've had a good number of just brutal years in terms of homeowners profitability for carriers, right? You know, really the last 5 years and kind of working up to 2024, Combined ratios well over 100. It was really, really tough for insurance carriers to turn a profit on their homeowners lines of business. And so what that ultimately results in, as I think everyone is aware, is increased rates, right? Going through 2024 and going through 2025, for sure, we're seeing in many areas unprecedented rate increases, which is very necessary, right? In insurance, you have to make money. This is not a nonprofit business for anyone. And so those rate increases have come. And now, as we're nearing the end of 2025, numbers are looking pretty good. Pretty much everyone has been able to get those combined ratios back down under 100 now and see some profitability in this line of business. And so now that carriers have accomplished that, they are focused on underwriting into 2026 and saying, hey, we have to ensure that we don't end up back in the same boat that we did back in, say, 2018, 2019, 2020. We've got to be able to maintain this profit. And the way that they're going to do that is to reduce losses and stricter underwriting. And that happens through inspections.
Well, so far what we're hearing is that everybody, at least Courtney, feels like your content has helped get a lot more visibility towards this idea. I have a follow-up question that's not necessarily specifically tied to the trend that you brought forward, but I do want to ask you, tied to this idea of your content and what it's brought forward, what video has sparked the most interesting conversation about either predict and prevent or underwriting so far this year?
That's a really good question. There's so many. I mean, talking about California wildfire, there was a video there that kind of, sparked my love for drinking milk out of gallon jugs. That one sparked a lot of great conversation, and a lot of good things have come from that. Helping hotels across the country, upgrade water supply lines in their rooms. That's been quite popular as well, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff and some really cool stuff coming down the pipe here over the winter, talking about non-weather water losses as it relates to freeze events. So I'm pretty excited about what the future holds.
Only you would be like, whew, freezing temperatures, the opportunity to talk about frozen pipes. I do have one last question for you before we bring on our next guest, and it's going to have to be a quick answer because you've got about a minute left.
Let's do it.
What trend would Mini Loss bring to the table if he had the opportunity to be with us today?
Well, Mini actually has a video dropping tomorrow morning that I think might be enlightening along the lines of your question. And so people are going to definitely want to be tuned to LinkedIn tomorrow morning. And I think honestly, Emma, I think I'll just leave it at that.
I think that that's the perfect teaser. I didn't even know that I was breaking this news here first, but you heard it here on a Trends event. Mini Loss has a video drop coming tomorrow, and you're all going to want to be here for it. So get ready. If you haven't already, I've seen continued scanning coming in. Make sure that you scan this Trends recap. Curtis, maybe we can talk and get Mini Loss into that document as well, depending on what his trend is and how it fits into the flow of everything. But make sure that you scan that QR code. And if you have questions for Curtis, put them into the chat. He'll be able to come in and continue to interact with you guys there. But thank you so much for joining us this morning, Curtis. And now I am going to kick you off and bring on our next guest.
Thanks, Emma.
All right, Miss Jenna, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
I love the energy here. The chat's so fun.
You've got fun earrings too. Do they jingle as well?
They do have little bells, but we've got our Grinch era on. And then I got my little sidekick back here too, just making sure that we're keeping everything just a little Grinchy this season.
Perfect. Well, Miss Jenna, can you give everybody an introduction if they don't know you already?
Yes. So Jenna Kinsman, I am VP of Insurance here at Eagleview. I do come by it honestly. I like to say that I'm a recovering adjuster. So we've been in the business for about 15 years now, and started a long time ago, before a lot of these technology solutions were out there to help make our lives easier. So really excited to be here today and to get into, really what's on the horizon here for 2026.
And I do want to also, before I let you get to your trend, take a moment to thank you and the rest of your team for your partnership helping make the event happen. But let's get into it. What is your trend to watch for 2026?
So I am going to be bold and say that 2026 is going to be the year of the adjuster. So like I said, I come by it honestly. I used to be an adjuster before all of these tools came out. We have these buzzwords that we've been hearing over the last, 5 to 10 years. Things like straight through processing, technology is going to disrupt us all. And certainly with AI coming onto the scene and being much more useful, and us trying to figure out what it means for our business, we have this perception out there that AI is essentially going to take over the role of the adjuster. But what I've seen is that the Grinch's heart, which means kind of the insurance industry, has grown 3 sizes over the course of this last year, because I think that we're finally getting away from drinking the Whoville punch and understanding that straight through processing actually is a little ruined, and we might not talk about it all that much anymore because AI regulation has kind of squashed the fact that, guess what? There is a fine line, and where that line is with the adjusting process is AI is not allowed to make decisions for underwriting your policies, for making those important decisions on who is eligible, who is not, but it's also not going to be accepted for claims. So what I see here for 2026 is something that's much more holistic, where we start to design around our adjusters to help them be the superpowers and the supermans that they are, and women, certainly, because we're out there representing, climbing up on roofs as well. And we're going to help enable them to be much more effective within their roles, and really helping AI tee up and do all of those things that they don't really need to do, want to do, or get a lot of energy from, so they can really focus on what matters most in that moment, which is helping that policyholder on their worst day of their life and having all of the information that they need right there at their fingertips. So here at EagleView, we're flying 110 airplanes every year to capture photos of every property that you have out there. So you're going to have all the information you need before you go out there on site. We just launched a pre-inspection pack that's available in an estimating platform near you, where your adjusters can actually, with a click of a button, get all the insights that they need of that property. So they show up with all of the pieces of that puzzle ready to go. So they're just plugging in some of those inputs and not collecting those pieces while they're out there in the heat of the moment trying to service that policyholder. So think of things like roof age, predominant pitch, eave height, all of those things. So your adjusters will show up prepared and know exactly what it is that they're getting into, so they can focus on what makes them magical this time of year, which is delivering on that policyholder experience.
Well, and we've already got one comment now. I lost it. Where did it go? That the adjusters are the voice of the promise, which I know we have talked about before a number of times as well, Jenna. And I certainly can still wait for some comments coming in here, but we've got about 60 seconds left. So I do want to remind everybody as well that we are going to have a trends recap for everybody to be able to get access to all of these. And if you have thoughts, there's a little bit of a delay between where we are on screen and questions that are coming in. So keep questions about all of the things that Jenna just shared in mind as we continue to go. And Jenna can come into the comments. Just make sure to tag her so it's nice and easy for her to find it. She can come back and answer any questions that you've got. But Jenna, any last thoughts for everybody before we part ways and do our little switcheroo with guests here?
Merry Christmas. I hope schedules clear up. I feel like it's been very hectic this time of year when it's kind of the lull. So hang in there. The holidays are here, and wishing everybody happy holidays.
Thank you. You too, Jenna. All right, we're going to do the switcheroo, and we are going to bring John on. Welcome to the live stream. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you get us started with an introduction for everybody who might not know you yet?
Absolutely. John Jackovin. I am the executive director for Broker Tech Ventures Accelerator. Been involved in technology for the last 25 years with startups, insurance for the last 6 years, and excited to talk about AI.
Great. Well, we've had the year of digital leadership, the year of inspections, the year of the adjuster. John, what is your trend for us to watch this year?
So my trend is that startups or tech companies in general are going to distance themselves from AI. And it's not because they're not going to use it, but because literally everybody will use it. It'll be ubiquitous, almost commoditized, but probably not getting to that level. And every company will use it. And if they don't directly use it, they will use it indirectly by the software that they use. And actually, this is a good thing. And we saw it with cloud-based companies. So I'm old enough to remember the early 2000s when on-prem software started moving to the cloud, and startups kind of gleamed onto that, and essentially they were adding a cloud company, .NET in their domains, calling themselves cloud software. And AI is kind of the same way, with early AI companies calling themselves AI companies. Both internet startups and AI faced similar pushback. With cloud-based companies, it was, hey, we're not putting our information anywhere outside of our four walls, very much akin to early pushback with AI, in that it's, we're not letting machines make decisions and do things that people do. And the reality is, if you're not OpenAI or Anthropic or Meta, Google, those sorts of companies, you're likely leveraging AI to solve problems, but you're not an AI company. And I mean, a startup that uses AI is no more an AI company than they would be considered a database company, right? Like startups and tech companies, you're going to leverage, maybe MySQL for one thing or Postgres for another, and how they manage these things becomes the differentiator. So AI will ultimately become a differentiator in how startups and tech companies leverage AI, how malleable they are in using those different models, and making sure they're using the best ones for the right tasks. And that all can be a differentiator. But my trend is that startups are going to move away from naming themselves with AI, having it become like the quintessential focus of their company and their marketing and their branding. And actually, this is a really good one, because it means that startups and the people who adopt that technology are okay with AI. And I mentioned cloud-based companies, and that adoption took maybe a decade before people were really comfortable in putting their information outside of servers on premises. And AI has taken 2 to 3 times, or has gone 2 to 3 times faster, which is a really good thing for adoption. And I think what startups will then do is focus on selling to insurance companies the problems that they're actually solving, as opposed to selling selling AI to solve the problem. And so it's a logical transition. It happens with any kind of groundbreaking disrupting technology. And I think 2026 is when we start seeing companies focus less on AI and more on problem solving.
And I love this when I saw that you put this in. I think that this is such an important conversation for us to be having. Anybody who pays attention to my content knows that I will shake you by the shoulders and be like, what problem are you trying to solve? It's great that we want to use AI. I'm all for it. I like technology. I've been in the field for 10 years. But to your point, I've seen the evolution of when we did things just to say we were doing them. And right now it feels a lot like everybody's slapping an AI sticker on it as a hope that it's going to make people think that it's magic. And that magical sparkle is starting to wear off. And we need to get back to solving real problems and creating real value with software. So I love that this is something that you're seeing on your end too, because I think it's such an important piece for people to recognize that we've been at the top of the hype cycle for a little while. That doesn't mean that there's not value. It doesn't mean that AI won't have its princess moment where it adds productivity, but we kind of got to go through the rest of the curve to get there.
Absolutely. It's I think we're there, and I think it's definitely a good transition for 2026.
Great. Well, thank you so much, John, for being here with me. Everybody else who's got thoughts, because I know that there are people that have thoughts about this, throw it into the comments, throw questions in there. We'll come back, we'll interact, and we'll continue the conversation there. But thank you so much, John. And now it is time for us. Oh, I brought myself off, not you. Oh, okay. I'm still here. Guys, I'm working. Here we go. Michael, thank you, John. Michael's coming onto the stage. How's it going?
Hey, good to see you, Emma. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me today.
You're coming from on the road, right? That's
I
dedication.
am coming to you from Boston inside of a hotel room.
I do not think that you've beat, though, Bobby Cerveza. If she's here, she can drop in the comments. A couple of years ago, she joined us at like 2:00 in the morning. I can't remember from what country, but I think she still has the crown for like most dedicated guest that I've had on one of these events in the past. But you still get extra points from being from a hotel room.
It's okay. I'll try harder next year.
Can you get us started by giving an introduction for everybody that hasn't had the chance to meet you before?
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Nadel. I'm a partner with a firm called Simon Kucher and Partners, and I run our insurance business for the company. We're growth strategy consultants, within the insurance world. We do insurance strategy for carriers and brokers, and we help insurtechs and service providers with their monetization strategies for selling into those carriers and brokers.
And I think that last sentence gives us like the perfect segue into your trend. So what are we watching for next year on your side of the world?
Absolutely. And the last conversation was very timely. So what I wanted to talk about today was on that insurtech and service provider side, talking about how AI is impacting the way that people drive monetization strategies. In particular, there's sort of two angles to this trend. The first is many very large and successful software businesses have built their business on the backbone of traditional metrics like user-based pricing per user per month. And with AI adoption on the carrier side, that puts that at risk, right? So if your clients are going to start to use AI to drive efficiency and reduce their headcount, and you're charging on a headcount basis, obviously there's something that's in challenge there. So, part one of this is how do people think about adjusting their pricing models to adapt to the world where your clients are using AI? And the other part of this is that, the insurtechs themselves are developing AI solutions. So to John's point, you may not be an AI company, but, we did a survey 2 years ago and we reran it this year. 2 years ago, 90-something% of people said they were planning on developing an AI solution. 76% actually implemented it when we reran it, which shows pretty good intent and some failure rate. When we reran that study, that rate was up to 96%. So now, you've got the question of what do I do with my traditional pricing model and how I sell it to my customer? And the other is how do I monetize these new innovations that I'm developing within the product sets that I offer? The latter category, leads folks to basically have to rethink the way that they package their products. So I've developed this new AI offer. Do I just throw it in with my bundle and, give it away for free? Do I use it as a lever to get people to buy my higher tiered offerings, maybe my best package or something different? Do I sell it as an add-on? How do I do that? And how does that fit with my traditional offerings? Right.
I think there's like a really Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
I was going to say, I think that this is an interesting trend to watch too, because there's been a certain amount of discourse, at least in my comments on like TikTok and Instagram, of people talking about this like kind of like SaaS fatigue. And where when you start to move towards usage-based, which has always been like a very spooky idea. Like when I was selling software, you brought up usage-based and people would be like, ooh, too unpredictable. Like I can't go down that path. But now it feels like customers are starting to see the benefit of that because they've gone down this path of like, we have a SaaS solution for everyone and their mom in this company right now, and we're not necessarily utilizing them. So I think people are starting to recognize the potential value that comes from usage-based licensing so that you can have a solution, but maybe if you're not using it as frequently as you thought you were, your costs adjust.
Yeah, well, and that takes me, sort of the rounding point of this is AI solutions bring sort of a new metric to the table where traditional was either user or usage based, and now there's this concept of outcome based. And so essentially with AI, where you can fully automate in theory some sort of workflow, you only pay when it actually drives to the outcome that you want, regardless of how many people are using it, how many claims you're processing, whatever the metric ultimately is. Doesn't come without challenges, but my trend for you for 2026 is If you're listening and you're on the carrier or broker side, it's very likely if you've got a large renewal coming up that you're going to have a more complicated renewal conversation with different price metrics, different package options. And if you're on the InsurTech side, you're probably thinking about the things that I'm talking about. And
if you're on the customer side, make sure that they can explain it to you in a way that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
My cautionary tale for everyone. Well, thank you, Michael, for joining us, even while you're on the road. Anybody that's got questions, comments, again, continue to throw them in. Tag Michael so he can come back and find it easy if you've got a specific question for him. But now it's time for me to do the switcheroo of the Michaels. So off with one and on with the other. Good to see you, Michael.
Hi, Emma. How are you? It's funny because when you announced Michael earlier, I thought I was coming on, and I was a little surprised to find out that I was coming afterwards. So
that quick moment
so nice
of
to see
like,
you.
oh wait, is it my turn? No,
Right.
No, not
Right.
yet. Okay,
Let me get ready.
You've been on quite the circuit with winning some awards and stuff, so hopefully most people know you. But can you give everybody a quick introduction before we get going?
Of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Balarezo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Adjusto. And what we do is we provide real-time pricing of personal property, an AI-powered solution, go figure, right? And we help carriers not only close claims quickly, but also do so in a way that builds policyholder trust as it relates to their personal property claims.
And there was a comment in here that I'm going to be pulling up in relation to what you just said. Pay attention to the companies that have earned the AI sticker and are solving real problems. I've worked closely with Michael and his team. Again, they've won a lot of awards. We're going to give them kudos. There are good use cases, but you guys are really focused on a specific problem. So I just want to put that out there. I am not an AI hater. I just want it used in the right places. But so Michael, can you tell everybody what your trend to watch for 2026 is?
Of course, absolutely. And so what I'd like to share is that insurance is entering into this infrastructure era of AI. And what we're seeing is all new workflows and tools and platforms flood the space, going back to all of these AI tools that have an AI solution. And the strategic advantage is that insurance now shifts from having access to technology to those being able to learn with a higher degree of velocity. How quickly can you learn in this new environment? So the trend specifically is that insurance companies are going to start acting a lot more like startups as they explore technologies in AI. And what do successful startups do well? Well, they learn quickly from their successes and more importantly, from their failures. And failure is actually highly encouraged. And I know what you're going to say, but Michael, this is insurance. We're not allowed to move fast and break things. And you're totally right. Definitely don't do that in a live environment. But there's nothing that says that you can't do that in a controlled environment. And one of the things I'd like to say is that innovation takes iteration. And with every iteration is that there's an opportunity to learn something. And those who learn quickly stand to benefit the most from the shift into this AI-powered technology. So I have like two bullets here that kind of help sum up this point to helping adopt like this AI mentality and kind of explain where this is all coming from. And the first is the AI bubble, right? Where it's being called the infrastructure of AI. And whether or not it's a bubble doesn't really matter, but what history shows is that bubbles build lasting rails, right? And the foundations for compute and data infrastructure and AI tooling and all AI workflows are all being built now, right? And insurance is being prepared to run on these rails, again, on AI. So one of the things that we're seeing contribute to this bubble is a ton of capital investment. We're investing in a ton of insurance forward insurtechs, flooding the space. And with it, we can expect to see a lot of companies emerging, trying to solve a lot of the same problems, right? There was about $500 million, I believe, invested in 2024 in claims management startups alone. And so we're seeing lots of solutions come up in personal property, contents, agentic workflows, claims operations, digital TPAs, and the list goes on, right? But once the bubble pops and the dust settles, we'll be left with a new set of AI companies laying the groundwork for the future of insurance. And so you're asking like, well, then how do we just pick the winners, right? Like, where's the crystal ball? And unfortunately, there's no shortcut here, right? You have to test, you have to iterate, you have to learn, and this requires active participation. The great thing is that there's like literally no better time to do this than now. And which brings me to my second point, which is we're coming off of like the highest record profitability set by P&C carriers. in the past 2 years. And so we have this very rare window where you have the ability to invest in operational infrastructure and support AI initiatives. And you have this opportunity where AI technology is mature enough where you can actually do something about it today.
This is the second time I'm going to make this like hand gesture. But when John was talking about like, people not necessarily positioning themselves as AI, part of it is because we have to go through the hype cycle. And you just mentioned the idea that there will be a point where the dust settles and suddenly we're in this spot where we have the strong, like, lack of a better term, the strong will survive, right? Like the ones who are solving real problems, the ones who are adding value will still be here. And I know John brought up the cloud and I think a little bit of like the .com, like internet days, but I'm seeing a lot of parallels, even in terms of the clip of adoption at an enterprise level. AI is slightly faster because we are all more comfortable with technology, but it's following the same trajectory of computers and the internet in terms of how much productivity it's offering in its early days. And it's probably going to follow a very similar path of there was a lot that happened when that bubble burst during the .com era. But clearly here we are on the internet talking to people all around the world. So it was a thing. It was a good thing. AI is a thing. It's a good thing. But I think we are going to continue to see some volatility and some changes over the next year, maybe even plus probably.
Absolutely. And I think Jeff Bezos might have said this once. He illustrated the fact that AI is kind of like electricity, right? It will be everywhere. Like it'll probably be in my toothbrush this Christmas under the tree, right? When I see it, like, yeah, certainly, right? And the thing I want to kind of double down on is that insurance is not shying away from AI. There's a BCG study that I read recently that shared that 74% of insurance companies that they surveyed are already actively piloting and scaling AI in part of their operations. And this is like massively impressive. But on the flip side of that story, only 7% of these executions have actually been successful in that vertical. So what this means is that the appetite is there, just the execution falls short. And so any excess capital that carriers have coming out of these years of profitability should be used to reinforce like investments in AI and operations that allow carriers to test quickly and learn from these efforts like startups.
Great. Well, thank you, Michael, very much. We are actually over time, so now I've got to keep going. But thank you very much for joining us today. And we're going to keep on the M train and bring Ms. Megan on. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I love the background and the festiveness. I'm a little sad that the glasses weren't real, though.
No, because I have to wear my real ones to see, but I do have peppermint nails and present earrings.
I know. Here we are. There we go, everybody. There's the festive.
I did my best.
So, Megan, for anybody that doesn't know you, can you give a quick introduction?
Sure. So I'm Megan Bell. I am head of marketing at Falvey Insurance Group. That's my 9 to 5, but my side hustle, just for fun passion project, is Insure Podcast. So it's a women in insurance podcast that I host every week, every Wednesday. Today was actually my season finale of season 2.
Woohoo! I haven't gotten a chance to go look at it yet, but that'll be on my list for when we're done here today. So can you give everybody a glimpse into your trend to watch for 2026?
Yes. So there's actually an article about it within the past week from Wall Street Journal. So I'm so excited. It was the perfect timing, perfect gift for this week. All about storytelling. That data in itself is just the wrapping paper, but the storytelling is the gift that's really inside.
Ooh, look at that. All right. So tell me more about how you think that's going to play out in the insurance industry.
So within insurance, I've heard the word trust and promise brought up today, and I'm really happy that was brought up. So really what people need to understand is that insurance is so complex. If you talk to someone that doesn't work in our industry, a lot of people don't understand it. They don't even really know that there's this whole P&C world behind their personal policies even. So insurance has the opportunity to explain the complexities of what we do, the meaning behind the policy, and also that promise that we offer every single day in paying those claims and rebuilding people when they're at their lowest points.
I think that this is such an important piece. And Curtis is not here, but Curtis and I have both publicly gone on a rant about how poor of a job. Sorry, insurance, I still love you. How poor of a job we do telling the story of what that promise is and how we like build people's lives back. Instead, we're hiding in a corner, afraid to tell the story because we think someone might say something mean in the comments, right?
Yeah.
What suggestions do you have for people to lean into storytelling?
So I think that you've talked about this a lot, that it just takes starting. It's always scary to start something, but there's someone out there that, you know, wants to hear what you have to say. And honestly, it humanizes every single brand that's out there if you show a little bit of your personality, as long as it's authentic and genuine. I'd say that the performative stuff or the trying to adhere to a trend is definitely not something anybody should be diving into. But it is the kind of marketer and communications team responsibility to look inside their organizations and find the people that are doing that meaningful work that they can tell that story, because that's our talent. So for me, I always lean on some of the incredible experts in our risk management department. They are the ones looking at data and trends and things that are going to impact people, and they try to get there before there's a problem or before there's an incident that causes a claim. And I think those are the times when you can really paint the picture of the value of what we're offering and the value behind a policy.
And I think you just hit on part of why I gave the trend that I gave at the very beginning, this idea of like authentically showing up. And how do you do that in a way that allows people to connect with the human part of insurance? And I think being in the insurance industry and outside of it, the biggest difference is everyone inside the industry is like, we've got the best people with the biggest hearts. And then on the outside, they're like, they're evil because they don't know. They haven't gotten exposure to it. So finding those pockets of where and how we can bring that authenticity forward and showcase that promise, I think is something that we should all like put on our checklist in the name of storytelling, but also in the name of leading in the digital world.
Yeah, and absolutely. It also ties back to who we're bringing into our industry. If we are not doing a good job of telling our story, the people coming in to work here, like think about how many more talented people we could get into insurance if we did a good job telling that story. And that means we have to go out into places where they're not there yet. We have to go talk to very young people and tell them that this is a career possibility. And I went to my school because it was a liberal arts school. I talked to a bunch of students and I said, I did not think I'd be in insurance, but I'm never leaving. So please join me.
Come on down. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about your trend to watch. And questions, comments, things in the comments, keep them coming. Megan, tag her if you want interaction. She'll be able to come back and have a conversation with you in the comments. But thank you so much, Megan. And now it is time to bring on the longest standing trends guest that I have, but I do have a bone to pick. Your name doesn't start with an M, and I was on a bit of a roll.
I'm sorry for that. You can, Bryan. That's
there we go.
Weird. Yeah, maybe not.
Let's do that for your intro here. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you tell everybody who you are if they don't know you?
So my son's name starts with an M. That's all I'll say for my intro.
There you go.
I'm Bryan Falchuk. I'm the CEO of an industry trade organization called PLRB. And I think the real reason why I've been longstanding on here is not just because I'm old, but having been around the industry for like 25, 26 years, I'm like a diehard insurance nut. I wouldn't say nerd. Someone else owns the name of that. But yeah, I've just kind of been all over the industry, helping push it forward, put out a bunch of books and podcast series, and in the middle of season 8. And I keep saying like, maybe this will be the last one because I'm getting tired, but I love doing it and I love getting people to talk about things. So that's why I enjoy coming back on this every year.
And you neglected to tell everybody that there is yet to be an idea, even if it's been kind of a silly idea that I've come to you with that you've said no to, going back to telling the story of insurance, being authentic. I think you even buried yourself in the snow one year to talk about insurance.
Yeah.
That was your idea, not mine though.
I'm too old to remember if it was my idea, so I'm going to blame you for that. No, I'm up for anything, and you have never come to me with anything but great ideas. So,
well, there we go. Now, time for your great idea. What trend should we be watching for 2026?
Well, so I was really worried because it wasn't about AI, and I'm like, well, at least say that so I get like the SEO juice of saying AI. But then Megan's point, it really does build on that. It's And it goes back to Curtis or loss ratio as well. When I had him on my show, we talked about this too, but it's this notion of the public sentiment towards insurance and what we do about that. And this, like Predict and Prevent and a number of other things, has been something the industry's talked about for several years, but actually made next to no progress on, if any. I think you could probably say on net, things have gotten worse, not better, with how the public feels about insurance. And there's two sides to that. One is that, there is a lot of very active advertising and kind of sentiment building in a very negative tone kind of way, just like all the political ads and everything else. It's like insurance is this evil, enterprise that's here to screw you over, not to help you. And so we will help you in those moments where, insurance is robbing you and you can win the claim, which is the most absurd notion and actually goes against the entire principle of what insurance is, that anyone wins on either side. It's just broken. So I would love to see us make progress on this. It would absolutely help with the perception of customers, of claimants, of the industry. But then I also think about our staff. And I was a chief claims officer. I was on the floor when we would get those, first calls in a claim where the adjuster's talking to someone and that person has been trained to think the insurer's here to screw them over. And so it was super adversarial. And of course, for the claims professionals out there, you don't wake up every morning and be like, how can I, screw someone over and win money out of them that they should get otherwise? Well, when you're reaching your hand out to help someone and they're treating you like you're a bad person who's trying to hurt them, it's way more offensive than just not being thanked. And when that's your day to day, it beats you up. And so, we have, I think, a tough time recruiting folks because of that stigma about insurance. And that's not a new phenomenon. We joke that it's boring and whatever else, but that public sentiment feeds that. But then it's also really hard to keep people in the industry because it's tough work. You're hearing the worst things that people go through on a regular basis, which will affect you. Like, it's depressive to hear about tragedy all the time. And you're being treated like a bad person in the process of trying to help. And so it's like, it's doubly hard. And this is a really active conversation in any industry event I go to. We run it, you've been to it, a roundtable for chief claims officers at PLRB's.
Specifically this idea with all those chief claims officers.
And I keep throwing out new topics and well, we got to talk about this. And it's year after year, this is such a pressing issue. We actually just talked last year more specifically about suicide prevention amongst staff in the insurance industry because of how hard this is. So it's a very real thing. I would love to see us address this. One of the things we need to do is to not be as afraid to fight those bad actors out there who are really painting an inaccurate, libelous picture of the industry and the notion of what insurance is supposed to be. We can get you a free roof. There's no such thing as a free roof. You're going to pay for that while that person rides out into the sunset making their commission or their contingency pay on what they just got for you for no cost. That whole notion is really broken. And a lot of times we're afraid to fight that because we don't want to, poke the bear. These are bad people who need to be shut down. There are lots of good people doing that work, but there are a lot of bad ones. And they're the ones who are much more actively fueling the negative sentiment. I would love to see us really try to take action with regulators, with the legal system. And there's some awesome people out there trying to do that. Stephen Badger's a great example where he will flag people who are doing these kinds of things. But the other is you look at our ads, we do this to ourselves. Our advertising is about paying less for insurance, right? Because it works in any industry, get it for less. But what we're doing is we're training the world not to value what we offer them. And the more we do that, the worse that will be. And so it's a really hard thing to back away from. And every now and then a carrier will start to advertise and they're we're here for you, and the caring and the interesting claim stories or what have you. And then their sales kind of fall off and they fall back to the and you pay less for it. So I think we need to have some kind of resilience and persistence in trying to shift that messaging, because we have trained society to believe that insurance is not something you should pay for. that doesn't help with the value in it. So,
and I am going to bring up this comment from Ryan, because this portion of The Incredibles, if you haven't seen it, Mr. Incredible works for an insurance company, and they tell him not to pay an old lady's claim, so he throws the guy through the wall. And it, like, even Disney is out to get the industry.
it's like, it's catchy and it's trendy and it's easy to get people in line with that.
Yeah.
The last thing, and this is never going to happen, but I would love for health insurance not to be called insurance, because it really isn't. It's a paid access program. It's not insurance. Most people's interaction with insurance is health insurance, and health insurance has very different rules and behaviors to P&C insurance that I think do reinforce the message that, like, you paid all this money and there's always some catch as to why this isn't covered or I can't have it or whatever. It's a totally different legal basis than what we have to do in P&C. I always say, like, if my team, when I was running claims, did what our health insurer did, we would lose our license and get shut down. But it's totally legal for health insurance. I don't think this will ever happen, but I would love for health insurance to be called something else.
You heard
And
it.
they have to
Brian
change.
starting the campaign. It's not insurance anymore.
It's not a 2026 trend. It'll take a while.
You've clearly sparked some conversation in the comments. There's a lot of really great things coming in. I do, however, have a full panel waiting on the back. So tag Bryan in questions, comments. He's good at responding and doing this whole social media thing. Bryan, thank you for being my reoccurring guest. It's always a pleasure to have you. And now let's bring on Miss Sandy. Switcheroo. Hello, how are you?
Good to see you. So happy to be here.
I know. I love your little green penguin back there. He's so cute.
Oh, I love birds. So you can't see it, but like, here's my Christmas bird tree for everybody, all my birds.
Oh, Sandy, bless you. I hate them. They're scary. I don't like birds.
You can give me all your birds. I'll take them all. Tell them to come to my house.
It's like a legit, like, we could talk about it another time, legit phobia. Like, even little tiny, like, birds in, like, the bird houses, they land on me and I start crying. It's a whole issue. But that is not the point of why we're here today and why you are here. So could you give everybody a real quick introduction?
So my name is Sandy Avina. My 9 to 5 is I am the Claims Services Manager for California Schools Risk Management. We handle the insurance coverage for school districts, K through 12. That's what I do during the day. And then when I am not at work, I can't get enough of risk management and insurance. So I make a lot of insurance related content on TikTok and LinkedIn. And then I have my website, riskfluencer.org, because I can't shut up about this subject. So that's a little bit about me.
And it's fun to watch the crossover of insurance into TikTok and some of maybe the stories that LinkedIn wouldn't handle quite as well.
Yes.
Over on TikTok. But can you share your trend to watch for 2022 or 2022? My God, I'm going back in time for 2026 too. There we go.
There we go. So my trend to watch is actually, I'm listening to all these different AI topics, but it's more of a human topic. And that's on the topic of stress claims and workers' comp. So for those of you who are not familiar with workers' comp, stress claims have a much higher bar for compensability than other types of injuries. So it's very hard to file a claim and get it accepted. With legislation, we are starting to see that bar lowered. We're starting to see more things get accepted for psychological injury claims. The problem is that for years, and this goes back to when I started in the industry 20 years ago as a work comp adjuster, for years, the way we train adjusters is look for a legal basis for a denial, not on the basis of the medical facts, but look for a legal basis because we want to deny the claim. And a lot of that is because they didn't know how to manage the medical piece of stress claims. So adjusters would look for a legal denial. Even if it wasn't a great legal denial, the claim would immediately get litigated. And then it ends up costing you all this money because it's litigated. And that is how we did it for years. And part of the volume that we saw was low because of the fact that there's still stigma around mental health and stress claims. So you didn't see as many. Well, that's changed. And we're going to see a big shift, especially in 2026, because we're seeing more people who are not as stigmatized in terms of letting employers know, hey, I'm having a lot of stress at work and I need this to be addressed. We have more of Gen Z in the workforce, and they don't have the same level of stigma that older generations did when it comes to mental health. And they also expect more from their employers in addressing mental health. So we are going to start seeing a lot more stress claims, and our industry has not prepared our adjusters on how to manage those, especially if they end up compensable. And that's a problem. And right now, there is no OSHA standard for psychological safety. There are no underwriting questions around the topic of mental health when you're applying for workers' compensation coverage. So it's an exposure that we're really not looking at, and it's going to come to a head. And Risk and Insurance Magazine came out with the issue, I think a couple months ago, and they did a survey and said 32% of the workforce has mental health as their top safety concern. Their top safety concern, a third of your workforce is more worried about mental health than any other physical risk. And we have to think about what that means for our exposure around psychological injury claims going into the future. I think it's going to get much higher, and we need to prepare our adjusters to handle that. We're telling them to focus too much on the legal denial, and maybe you can have a good basis for a legal denial. But if it is compensable and you have to manage the medical care, have they been trained to do that? Do they know how to read a psychological report? Do they know the different types of therapies? How are they managing that piece of it? And I don't think our industry has done a great job of that historically. And now in 2026, you're going to see the scramble to prepare adjusters for what's going to be an onslaught of much more psychological injury claims.
It's a really interesting and slightly both good and sad trend to have to watch.
Yes.
Good that the stigma is going away and people are getting support. Sad that we've reached the point where that's the case that we're in. But again, it kind of builds off of what Bryan was just talking about for the adjusters themselves and like the mental toll that comes with work. It's not just adjusters. Like they obviously have the hardest day of someone's life phone calls, but you can put that into so many different industries. The amount of times recently where I've started doing like calls into places and getting a message that like is like, please be kind to the people that answer the phone. And that's all new in the last like year or so. So clearly it's not just claims adjusters and people that are customer facing from that perspective. It's support people. It's people that are, you know, like in high stress demand jobs. So I think that this is an important trend to watch. And thank you for bringing it forward.
Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping we start to see more work for employers on addressing the interpersonal conflicts, because that is what's really driving a lot of that. And we haven't prepared them for that as well.
Human leadership, at the very beginning of all of it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sandy. If you're not already and you're on TikTok, make sure you go follow Sandy. If you didn't already see it, I saw multiple comments about how your TikTok content is on fire. But thank you for joining us. And now I'm going to switch you out and bring on Peter with another penguin, but his is on his sweater.
Yeah, it's great to follow Sandy. I want to give a shout out to her Santa penguin on behalf of Bold Penguin and everybody on the glacier, which I want to say hi to everybody on the glacier. And from our penguin to Sandy's penguin, Merry Christmas.
There he is.
I'll put Boldwin somewhere over there. Okay.
There we go.
How you doing, Emma?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. I'm doing well, and I want to say happy holidays to you and James and everybody at Roloff Consulting. You guys do amazing things for the industry, and this is an example of that.
Thank you. Well, for anybody that doesn't know you, can you give an introduction and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Peter Settel. I'm the president and CEO of Bold Penguin. Bold Penguin is an insurtech dedicated to the commercial insurance space and transforming that space. We have two primary value streams. So one is we are a customer acquisition and risk matching platform for carriers that want to grow intelligently across different distribution channels and with some amazing large partnerships that we have. It's a massive network that we have with thousands of agents, and we've served millions of customers, small business owners, entrepreneurs over the past decade. The second value stream is really around core infrastructure, around digitization and digital transformation for our larger enterprise customers and international customers, and that includes data and AI. And you could think about it as us digitally enabling their business processes and bringing them forward so they can participate in the digital platform models straight through processing, underwriting automation, and the like. And we've been doing that for the past 5 years.
So, Peter, what are we watching as we head into 2026 from your vantage point?
Well, if you're at Bold Penguin, the broad trend is always the continuation of digital transformation of the industry and particularly commercial and the transformation around that. But the specific trend that we're looking for is we think that this year coming up is going to be a breakout year for parametric insurance. And specifically within parametric insurance, which has been doing a lot for quite a while in sort of larger, almost society level issues, climate change and protection gaps. We think it's the downscaling of parametric insurance and making it more available to small business owners and residential property owners.
So talk to me a little bit more about this like transformation at on the commercial side, and what makes it more difficult than maybe what we've seen on the personal line side.
Well, I mean, commercials is inherently multi-product, and it inherently requires multiple carriers to be able to provide solutions, even for small businesses. So I think that where personal lines has had a tremendous amount of success, I've been in this market for over 25 years, it's typically been by having great monoline products, whether it was personal auto or personal home or what have you, and then bringing those together in some way that took advantage of technology, pricing sophistication, automated underwriting, great user experience to bring that directly into the customer's hands or to expand the frontier of distribution for those carriers. Commercial's been different. It really does require localized knowledge, and it really does require the owner of a business to be able to understand the various needs, whether those are financial risks, whether those are property risks, whether those are reputational risks or things that might happen outside of their business that ripple into it. And that's where I really see this opportunity evolving faster for Parametric, because there's sort of like a what is Parametric? Why does it matter? Why does it matter now? And then perhaps why does it matter to a company like Bold Penguin and platform companies in the business? The what, for people who don't know, and Parametric's been around for a while, but it's really a different type of coverage or contract within the commercial space. So it's basically a stated amount of money that you will get for a stated event. So if you say, I want to have a cover that pays me $15,000 in the event that there's wind in my proximate area at 75 miles an hour or more, that's an event that could be measured objectively with data, and it's a stated amount. So when Bryan and Jenna and Curtis are talking about all the challenges in the industry and how that might negatively impact customers, this is an opportunity for a little bit more simplicity, a little bit more transparency, and a little bit more speed in making sure that those business owners can get the appropriate coverage.
That speed and transparency piece, I think, is something that a lot of business owners, especially like depending on the like now, when you're a very large commercial company and you have a strong brokerage behind you, you can manage all of the complexities that come with it. But especially for people that are running smaller businesses that are going out and trying to figure out how to manage their risk. Hopefully they're still working with a broker, but having something that is simple to understand and provides you with like that feeling of being whole quickly. I think that like,
and those things
from a small business.
The more traditional insurance coverage, which evolves through with innovation as well, but it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive with Parametric. Parametric can provide a layer within your overall risk management model and provide some speed of cash so that your small business doesn't get affected by a cloud interruption that might take you offline, or a power interruption that doesn't create physical damage to your business, but might prevent your employees from getting there or from you turning the ovens on and being able to serve food that day. So it gives you a layer of protection. It doesn't have to be viewed as mutually exclusive with the typical protections. And the last thing I'd say on it is there is a little bit of a why now. Obviously, people are more aware of those types of events that I just said and things like cyber attacks and the like. So there's a greater level of understanding of it. And the digital technologies that we talk about really support this idea. So when we think about a platform technology and bringing this together, perhaps in complement to other coverages, we want to make sure that there's ease of use to the agent in order to be able to provide these things and explainability. And we want to make sure that there's ease of use to the consumer, the business owner, so that they can understand these things. And when you think about practical uses of technology, digital tools, access to data that's readily available to support this, and the use of things like agentic technology, what better use of agentic technology than to have an advisor that is able to figure out where you cross-sell this or add this in complement to your standard BOPs or GLs or workers' comp. And that's why we're excited about it. We think that the timing is right for this to become more present in the market. And, whether it's 2026 or soon after, we think we're at a breakout point for Parametric as an innovation in our industry.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. And clearly Parametric is something that has got the people going. There's a lot of comments coming in right now.
All right. Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Now we are going to bring Mr. Tim on. How's it going?
Hello, Emma. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Uh-oh, I think I lost. Hold on, let's try again. Can you give an introduction and let's see if we got the connection fixed a little bit here. Oh no, Tim. Oh, I can't hear you, Tim.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can
Hold
now.
on.
We're good to go now. I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you give everybody an introduction?
Dillahunt, I'm the Vice President of Sales Underwriting at the Hanover Insurance Group, and I'm responsible.
Oh no, I had you and then I lost you, Tim.
I'm going to change this out. Hold on a second.
Okay, I'm going to swap you out with Nick real quick and I'll be back to you in just a minute. Nick, we're going to bring you on. And I'm going to let Tim figure out that for a second and we'll be back. Oh, he's got little finger mittens. Look at him go.
I live in Florida, so I have no ugly Christmas sweaters. They wouldn't really work. They'd just make me sweaty. So here's some little elf mittens.
There we go. Perfect. Well, Nick, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes. Thank you for having me, Emma. It's good to see you again. My name is Nick Lamparelli. I am the managing partner of Insurance Nerds, and we've been now an 11-year-old community and content center. We do marketing and help B2B, predominantly B2B businesses figure out strategically like how to sell into the insurance ecosystem. B2B sales is hard. B2B sales in insurance is even harder. There's just, it could be that insurance companies are more conservative, but it could also be that they don't understand technology. So that's what we try to help them with, Emma.
Well, let's talk probably about, insurance trends, probably touching on technology a little bit. Tell me what is on your forecast for us to watch.
Yeah, so I at the beginning of 2025, we had a massive set of wildfires in California. And I think that became the tipping point where I think we're going to start to see, and I think we have already seen, but I think we're going to start to see an inflection point where you're going to start to see the insurance product and risk management around those insurance products kind of dovetail. So you're going to see insurance products where you have to do something about the wildfire. You have to do something about the cyber exposure. You have to do something about the wind exposure. And the closer that firms can actually tie the technology into the insurance capacity, I think it has a winning formula. And Emma, this isn't something that's new. If we go back to the 19th century, I think we have two success stories that still exist today. One being Factory Mutual. So they designed one of the first risk management insurance products where if you wanted the insurance capacity, you had to meet a certain threshold of fire protection in order to get that. And the other, and one, the great technology of the 19th century was steam and steam power. But the problem with steam power, Emma, is that they would blow up. And so you had a company like Hartford Steam Boiler, which were just a set of engineers who would go out and inspect boilers and provide recommendations on how to not have them blow up, decided to form an insurance product with it, which still exists today, where you can still buy a Hartford Steam Boiler product that can tie into a commercial property policy. So I think with the InsurTech, I think we saw a wave of MGAs who came in the cyberspace, particularly, and in the cyberspace, they brought their cyber exposure and risk management tool with the insurance. And now I think you're going to start to see it with telematics. In property, you'll see wildfire-related specialists, wind-related specialists, tornado-related specialists, and we're going to start to tie these things down to reduce risk.
I love the history that comes within the insurance industry of like the Hartford Steam Boilers policy. Like, oh, there you go. That's where that all came from. And like thinking back to the risks that we've had over the years that maybe have become less of a risk, but now the things that we need to be paying attention to as we move forward.
We've kind of lost track with those things, Emma. But the one thing insurance companies have is lots of data. Why not use the data to help your clients reduce risk?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me for the conversation, Nick, and the little elf mittens. I think that you could just do like a little peace sign with your little elf mittens. But
Someone
for
can take
anybody
us.
that's got questions for Nick or wants to continue the conversation in the comments, throw your comments in there. And as he's peace signing with the mittens, I'm going to give everybody another nod to scan the QR code here for the trends recap document, and keep the comments going. I've seen a lot of really great contributions in the comments, so keep them coming. Tag Nick and your questions, and we are going to try bringing Tim back on here. But thank you so much, Nick, and we'll see you soon.
Happy New Year.
You too. All right, Tim, how are we?
No.
Oh no. Okay, I think I can hear you. Can you? We've got the introduction down, so let's jump straight to your trend to watch.
Responsible for the high net worth space at the Hanover, and one of the trends we're starting to see is and why that's significant is because we're starting to see
Tim,
a lot more.
We
homes.
lost you. I heard you say the trend we're starting to see, and then why that's significant. I lost the actual trend. Can we try that one more time?
Sure. The trend we're seeing is a lot more homes in the 1 to 3 million.
Oh no. Okay. I'm going to try hiding your camera and see if just bringing you on audio only will help. Can you try again? This is live TV, everybody.
Can you hear me okay? You can't?
I can now. Yep. Let's go again. Oh no.
Space.
Okay, Tim, I think we may have to include your trend in the document. And then maybe what we can do is after we have you live in the document, we'll make a little video as well and include that embedded so everyone gets a chance to see your trend, because I am not able to get you clear on the, let's try one more time. Bring you back on. Okay, try one more time, Tim.
Yeah, so sorry, everybody. I'm not sure.
That's okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Tim, we're going to come back to you. We'll make a video, and if need be, maybe we can try calling in or something, but we will get you access to Tim's trend. Darn, internet's just not cooperating with us right now. I am going to bring Miss Ryann on and have you do a very quick introduction. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's great to be here. I actually, I have a background in industrial design. And so I spent, my early work really focused on physical product design and programming in the fitness space, which is really just motivating behavior through prevention. And so then I ran an agency for 10 years across pharma and health, influencing behavior to make sure people were compliant when they took their drugs. And, I was in ed tech and health tech. And for the last 8 years, I've been in insurance and financial services, and I've been using my blend of design and behavioral economics and strategic foresight to really build what comes next.
Great. Well, can you give everybody an insight into your trend to watch for 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. So my trend to watch for 2026 is really human-centered AI strategy coming full bore this year. We're sort of entering the end of, applied efficiency for business optimization, and really the next frontier is applied creativity for human-centered value.
Great. So talk to me a little bit more about how is that going to shift our thought process on the way that we implement AI?
Yeah, so I think, when people first started getting on board, we started thinking about it as a tool. Okay, we're gonna use it to, play around with it, get comfortable with it. We're going to then use it to make sure that we're as efficient as possible. Let's like drive optimization and make sure that we're really using automation to help us run the core of the business. And all of that is fabulous, awesome. But now we're turning the page where, companies are starting to tap out on optimization. What happens when everybody's fully optimized, right? Like then we're back where we started, where everybody's got the same strengths. And so then we really have to differentiate based on human-centered value. So what are we giving our customers that's new? What are we giving our employees to do their jobs better? So I think that's just really where we need to turn. And what's great is if you've used AI to like fully optimize everything, cool, you can turn and start working on human-centered design. But if you haven't, you can still turn right now and start with making sure you're creating value for people, for your customers, for your employees, and then drive efficiency from there. So really there's no company that's not in a good position to turn to human-centered value now.
Combining you and John, who was earlier in the chat, like those two trends, it's almost like we can still follow the old guidance of people, then process, then technology, even though we have AI available. Mm-hmm. So like looking at our processes alongside our people and thinking through the customer experience and deciding where there are gaps that need to be filled and where we have real problems to solve. And then we can bring in the technology. So I love, like, secretly, even though I let you all choose your own trends, this is speaking deep to my heart.
Sure. Yeah. Well, what's cool is you can see the big tech companies already making this shift. Like both Meta and OpenAI just appointed new chief design officers to like really double down on their human-centered value and how they're going to drive differentiation in an increasingly commoditized sort of AI landscape. And so you're absolutely right. We have to focus on people first, but it isn't just like, it's all of it together. It's really a holistic play. Using AI as a design material is something I've been doing for years now. And we've had really great successes driving both efficiency and human-centered value with that. And now Mark Zuckerberg said the other day something about how he's going to start using artificial intelligence as a design material, which is great, right? Like you can see
Way
that.
to get there.
Right. Exactly. Better late than never.
Exactly. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I see some comments coming in. Keep the comments coming, everybody. I have now fallen off of my schedule, so I do need to keep militant here. But thank you so much for joining us, Ryann, and for bringing forward what I think is a really important trend for us all to watch. Everybody in the comments, keep coming with questions and thoughts there. I am going to come to Meredith next. Thank you so much, Ryann. Have a wonderful holiday season.
You too.
And for anybody in the comments who's feeling sad, like maybe I haven't tried hard enough with Tim, we're going to try again. Tim and I are here for it. He's up next again after Meredith. But Meredith, can you give everybody an introduction?
Hello, great to be here. Meredith Barnes-Cook. I am a senior principal at Datos Insight, where I get to be a strategic advisor to carriers, technology providers, as well as insurtechs. I also do research, and I serve as an industry analyst.
Oh, is that all?
Just a few things.
Can you give everybody a taste of what your trend to watch for 2026 is?
Yeah, I think very much it's interesting being able to speak right next to Ryan's observation. I think it's another flavor of this coming year is going to be the year of people and rethinking people. And specifically, I think moving away from, we've been thinking about kind of an AI versus people, about AI replacing people, and really thinking more to what I call a strategic human AI alliance, where we recognize that the whole purpose of AI is to augment and empower people, taking advantage of the natural advantages that AI has for high prior, data and processing and speed and analytics and all of that, and then taking maximum advantage of what people have the unfair advantage of, which is all aspects of complex decision making, relationship management, empathy, negotiating, and those types of things.
So I actually have, this is like, Meredith didn't get prepped with this question, but based off of what you just said, us humans are innately good at. Yesterday, because they wanted to get out ahead of this like wonderful trends event, LinkedIn released their annual like trends to report, which is called like the big ideas or something like that. And in it, there was the second top trend to watch was that AI fluency is going to become the new liberal arts, replacing English and philosophy. I personally hope that that doesn't happen, because I think we get a lot of those uniquely human skills that you just said we need to work on blending from the humanities and from liberal arts and all of these other components that make humans valuable outside of the technology. But I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well.
Oh, I completely agree. As a psychology major, a liberal arts major, I absolutely agree. 40 years in the insurance industry later, I absolutely agree. And I think it's, we talk about, we've made the mistake of thinking about people as their role is transactional. Like we've talked about human in the loop, that they're just a step in the process, but it really is everything that we can and cannot do and we should and should not do. It is all driven by people. People need to make the decisions of what is appropriate for where AI can decide in this ever growing hype of agentic, and where does the human need to step in, or where does the customer want them. At the end of the day, from an accountability perspective, you're not going to be able to say, oh, well, AI did it. That's not going to stand with customers. It's clearly not going to stand with regulators. In the end, humans have to own even the decisions that humans allow AI to make. Humans need to be watching everything that AI is doing. You can absolutely automate to monitor for shift, to make sure that it's not slowly increasingly hallucinating, but there has to be a human check on that along the way as well to check the checker. Humans need to decide, and this all comes back to the human empathy and understanding and the human communication skills. Humans need to decide when it needs to escalate, when this has gone from an appropriate AI virtual agent interaction to it's time to get a person involved. Humans need to be in the audit trails, and humans need to be able to explain it. I mean, that's the NAIC standard, right? From a decision-making perspective, is models need to be explainable to a consumer. And if we lose sight of that ability to communicate, to articulate, and I say that having a son who's also a software engineer graduate, even he, with everything he does so much now, writing and blogging and things, if he hadn't gotten that core education, he wouldn't be able to communicate effectively.
Oh, well, I'm glad I'm not alone, because I saw that and immediately created a TikTok being like, no, please, no.
Stop the madness.
We'll be the voice of reason for continuing all of the things that make us human.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining me, Meredith. I have a feeling people will have thoughts and feelings and comments on this concept. Put them into the chat. And I'd also love to hear everybody's thoughts on that like trend that I just mentioned from LinkedIn as well. But have a wonderful holiday season, Meredith. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to try and bring Tim back on. Hello, Tim. How's it going?
I'm good.
We're here. We're good. Switching the computer did the trick.
Yeah, I changed the computer, so that was crazy. So yeah, just good to be with you guys. The trend I was talking about, really, like Curtis, was around inspections, but on the a little bit different side, on the ITV side, insurance to value. We recognize some of the numbers. 75% of the homes are underinsured, about 35% severely underinsured. And what that does is it causes insurance companies to have an insurance to value program. They're probably going to use companies like Curtis's team to insure those to value. And as we see those insurance values go up, we're starting to see a lot more $1 million homes, we call them, the millionaire next door. And we're starting to see, coverage A's of $1 million to $3 million. But we're starting to see as a trend, some of these higher net worth carriers I won't mention the names, but some of them are moving away from that 1 to 3 million space, and that leaves a gap. And so what's driving some of these coverage A's up so much is the reconstruction cost. When we think about the reconstruction costs, in the last 5 years, they've gone up about 44% versus 20% the previous 5 years. And we're starting to see labor costs go up, right? And all these things cause us to use the coverage A at a coverage A of $1 million or higher. It grows that because we're starting to see those trends happening. So, we feel like we need to close that gap somehow because somebody's got to be there for those people in the 1 to 3 million space. So.
Well, and I think that this is really interesting, tied to a lot of the other trends that we've been talking about, like the perception of the insurance industry and how important this process of reevaluating and making sure people aren't underinsured so that when something happens, they actually are covered for the loss that they've got. And a big part of probably where we're at right now is people not having adequate coverage, not understanding the insurance industry and why they would need that in order to be able to replace or repair what's happened. And every time someone's underinsured, doesn't get the coverage that they're thinking they would have in their mind, then insurance becomes a scam. So this fits in with a lot of these other trends that we've been talking about today. And this is a critical part of helping to improve that reputation moving forward.
Without a doubt. I think what Curtis and Bryan both mentioned, they talk a lot about insurability and those kinds of things, mitigation, all those things tie together so that we can have a product and a service that people can feel good about. This was exactly what you were talking about, Emma. And so that when they do have a claim, and nobody wants to have a claim, but when they do, they feel good about it and they can feel like they'll be covered in the right way. So that's what we're trying to do.
Tim, I agree with the comment that you are worth the wait. And I'm so glad you were able to do the switcheroo and join us. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to bring on our last guest. But before I do that, I want to give everybody the little spoiler that this is going to be a little bit of a different interview. And I'm actually not going to be doing a lot of the interviewing myself. Instead, I am going to hand it off to probably our youngest guest and Kate right now to share. We've been talking about earlier, how do we get more people involved in insurance at a younger age? How do we get people excited about our industry? So I am so excited to have one of Kate's interns with her as well. So I'm going to hand it over to the two of you. We've got about 5 minutes left. So I'll give you guys the hold on, we've got to wrap up as you're going. But otherwise, Kate, take it away.
Yeah, so can you hear me okay, first off?
We can, yes.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to this great series. I'm the CIO of Heffernan Insurance Brokers. And as Emma said, we had 13 high school interns because we're trying to get people in insurance younger. And one of our stars here is Jerry Yu. He's a Piedmont High School a high schooler in his senior year. He got help on this work, which is quantum computing, our industry trend, like how it's going to turbocharge AI and cyber. Roxy Sweet-Stevens worked on this white paper, and so did Clay Coote. So with that, why don't we get started?
Yeah.
Jerry, what is quantum computing?
Yeah. So quantum computing is a developing field in computer science that utilizes the unique physical properties of quantum mechanics, which is a study of tiny particles. And the main advantage it provides is that it offers much more efficient computing and secure cryptography over classical computing, which is the type of computers we use today. And with this efficient computations, it can reduce a complex problem that would take normal computers thousands of years in a matter of mere hours or minutes, which is really impressive.
And as you did your research this summer, what I was interested, what's the difference between classical and quantum computing?
Yeah.
The ones and zeros.
Exactly. So the main advantage stems from the quantum computing's usage of qubits. So in a normal computer, a bit is usually in a state of a 0 or a 1. And that gives it the two values, which holds all the data that are stored in the computers. But in quantum computers, a qubit is in a superposition between a 0 and 1, which means that it has a probability of becoming one or the other. that gives it technically infinite amount of data that it can store. But in usage, it does offer us a lot more possible answers at the same time, while as classical computing can only offer one solution to a problem at one time. And that's why quantum computers have these capabilities of providing us exponentially more solutions to each problem, which reduces the time greatly.
So with that, the real question that we're here to ask is, how is quantum going to supercharge AI?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, because quantum computer is starting to emerge in the public domain, I would say that its enhanced computational abilities would probably enhance AI mostly during training, because as we all know, it takes a lot of data and a lot of time to train a large AI model. And quantum computers can speed up that process significantly, both in preparing the data set and during the training of the actual AI itself. So we could probably expect to see a lot more bigger, robust AIs as this becomes more prevalent. And what do you think?
Well, I'm with you. I think that, quantum is going to speed up the training. So think about it. Right now, we spend time training AI. This is going to make it exponentially faster. And further, it's going to enhance the data processing. So it's going to crunch the data that much faster. And so it really gets to our final concern, is why do we have to worry about quantum computing? And as a CIO, my biggest thing about quantum, and I'm worried about it, is the whole thing about harvest now, decrypt later. What does that mean? In cyber, the bad guys are already working in order to take the data, hold it for maybe 5-10 years, and as soon as the technology is there, they're going to break through all that encryption that we have in seconds. And so if you haven't started thinking about how quantum is going to help AI and how it's going to, basically scare you on cyber if you're a CIO, start thinking about it now. And then, just one last thing for the insurance industry, quantum computing is really going to help us with a number of simulations, like for instance, how we manage risks. It'll be able to crunch the data faster so that we can make sure that our carriers aren't losing tons of money, but also being able to match people with insurance. So get ready for the next wave and the next trend. So Emma, are there any questions you have for us?
I think overarchingly, everyone is just incredibly impressed, both in the intern program for high schoolers, also in your ability to articulate all of this. And you have a lot of raving fans already. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us and for giving us something really cool. And again, a big trend for us to watch, maybe a trend that scares us a little. But thank you so much for both of you being here. And the fireside chat with the beautiful backdrop is a wonderful way for us to end the discussion. So thank you both for being here. I'm starting to see comments pop up that people have to run. You stuck with me for 90 minutes of fast-paced interviews. If you haven't already, scan the QR code here in the corner to get the full trends recap. Unfortunately, Jamie Warner is sick, so we are missing one guest, but her trend will be in the larger downloadable guide. So make sure that you sign up to get that with you as we head into the final last couple of days before the season ends and we move into 2026 officially. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you everybody for being here. We had over 750 people registered for the event. The comment section has been going the entire time. I love this industry. I love this event. I love the opportunity to do what I get to do. And I can't wait to see what each and every one of my guests and all of you are able to accomplish in 2026, keeping these trends in mind. Have a wonderful holiday season, everybody. And let's keep the conversation going in the comments. We can keep going back and forth even when the live is done. Have a wonderful day.